Hey Vitality Lifers! Today I'm going to give you the 5 easy steps that I use every day with my coaching clients to help you make healthy habits that last and make living a healthy life easy. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Heather Thatcher and I'm a Vitality Lifeguard and registered nurse, and for years I've been helping people get out of their own way, refine their lifestyle, and develop sustainable healthy habits to achieve a life of vitality. But before we get started, I just want to ask you a question. How many of you have tried to change a habit from an unhealthy one to a healthy one and have not been successful? Give me a big yes or no in the comments below. And for those of you who are nodding your head yes, I hear ya. It is so frustrating and very disheartening to fully believe in your heart of hearts that today will be the day. This time will be the time, and this time you'll actually start working out consistently, lose the weight for good, eat right, sleep better, have lower stress. But then a few days later, or maybe if we're lucky, maybe a few weeks later, it just all falls apart and it gets to be too much and life gets in the way and we just fall back on our old unhealthy habits and keep living life the exact same way that we did before. It sucks. And it's very unmotivating to keep trying if it always just keeps falling to pieces. And I've experienced this too. Dustin and I have a habit of coming home after work and we would go and get our healthy dinner from the slow cooker, and then we'd crash in front of the couch and watch TV or read or play a game for most of the night. And this was fine when I had a really active job when I was working as a nurse in the hospital. But then when I moved to a desk job, my life got a little bit more sedentary. And it was a lot harder for me to move as much during the day as I was used to. So when we had this sort of sedentary lifestyle in the evening, I was noticing that I was gaining weight. I wasn't having the same level of energy. I wasn't sleeping as well. My body was getting tight and sore, and I just didn't feel good. And so Dustin and I talked about it, and we wanted to incorporate some kind of workout in the evenings to help us build some strength, improve our fitness, lose that little extra weight. And really, we're not morning people. I'm a little bit more of a morning person than Dustin, but not by much, not by enough. So we decided that after work was probably going to be our best bet. And we tried it. We tried to come home and start that workout, go for a walk or a run. It just never stuck. We tried so many times, and every time it didn't work, and we just gave up after a couple of days, and it never really seemed to fit. Something would always happen. We'd always get stressed. It just never worked. And does that sound kind of like you? Has something like that happened to you? So comment with a sad face emoji if this rings true to you. Just put that down in the comments. The issue is we weren't really identifying the true problem. We were just trying to change ourselves. We were trying to change our lifestyle, but we weren't actually looking at what was really getting in our way. And that's why it kept failing. That's why all of our plans kept falling apart. But when we took a step back and looked at the situation using the habit cycle that we're going to talk about, that's where everything changed. It's really exciting right now. There's a lot of really cool research coming out into habits and habit formation and how it all works and why we have habits and how to change them. And we have so many habits that we just do automatically. You wake up in the morning and you probably automatically reach for your phone, maybe, to check social media, your emails, your calendar, kind of get planned for the day. Then you get out of bed, you automatically walk over to the bathroom, you brush your teeth, you have your shower, you do all these things without thinking about it. When you get in the car, it's an automatic response for you to put that seatbelt on. And so there's all these different ways that we live our life with habits. And so the key to living a healthy lifestyle is to make those healthy activities just as habitual as putting your seatbelt on when you get in the car. So that's how we're going to address that today. We're going to look at it from that angle. So each habit has 3 different components. It has the cue, and it has the response, and then it has the reward. So if we look at it with the seatbelt example, you are getting into your car. That's the cue. And then your response is to put that seatbelt on, and your reward is that you're safer should something happen, heaven forbid. So it's this exact same cycle, and that's what we're going to try and do to change one of your habits. And so I want to tell you a little story about this woman that I worked with. Her name was Rashmi. She's a dietitian, and she worked in an ICU, so an intensive care unit, which is where you go when you're really sick. And she worked there, obviously a very stressful environment. And she was noticing that after particularly challenging days, she would come home, abandon her healthy meal plan, order pizza, or make fettuccine, or dig into a pint of ice cream, and feel better. It would sort of help comfort those feelings. But having the training that she's had, it was frustrating for her because she wanted to be able to overcome those emotional eating triggers within herself. She's helped so many people with this. She's coached other people on this, but for whatever reason, in her own life, she couldn't seem to break that cycle. So what we did is we took it back and we did a lot of researching and sort of some self-discovery with that. And we realized, as with so many people, her emotional eating habits were learned as a child. And when she was a kid, if she had a really rough day at school or kind of bombed a test or didn't play so well in a soccer game, her parents would be like, oh, it's okay. Let's go out for ice cream. Let's have your favorite dinner at home. They would offer her comfort, connection, and this feeling of being loved, but in connection with some food as well, some of her favorite comfort foods. And that's where we can get that term, because those foods we also associate with the love and comfort that our parents gave us as children in relation to these difficult emotions. So what we did was look at this experience in the habit cycle. So over here with the cue, that was when she had a difficult day at work. And then her response is to eat some unhealthy food in response to that emotion, those difficult emotions. So she'd have something carb heavy, something unhealthy, something very rich and gourmet that she kind of felt guilty about. But her initial reward is that feeling of love and connection and comfort. So, because she can't really change the cue, her job is stressful. She is going to have stressful days that bring on challenging, difficult emotions. She's going to get upset. So that part we couldn't change. And we want to have the same reward, the same feeling of feeling comforted and connected and loved and happier and soothed. So we wanted to keep that part the same too. So our only option is to address the response. And so this is the kind of habit which I want to challenge you to look at today. So for her, she looked at it to say like, okay, so I'm going to have a rough day at work, and that's okay. And I want to be able to feel this connection, this feeling of love and comfort. So what could I do instead that doesn't involve food that'll still give me that same reward? And so she came up with this beautiful list of different ideas of how she could nurture herself instead of nourishing herself. And so she could nurture herself by calling her parents and having a chat. She could meet up with some friends, go out to a movie, she could have a bubble bath, curl up with a good book, go for a massage, all these different ways that she could get comfort and connection and this feeling of being loved and part of a community without having to resort to food. And with some work and some guidance, she was able to start to break that habit, which then gave her a ton of motivation to work on other unhealthy habits that she wanted to try and alter as well, using the same theory. So how do we do this for you? Now, I'm going to give you those 5 steps that I talked about at the beginning here. And I created a worksheet for you also that walks you through every step of this process. And I'll put the link in at the end in the comments so you can get that workbook to sort of work through it. It walks you through the habit cycle as well, and you can fill it all in. You can also go to www.heatherthatcher.com/live to sign up for the worksheet and have it sent to your inbox. Now, I hate spam. I hate being sold to, so I promise that I will never sell to you in this email. All you're ever going to get are the worksheets that go along with what we talk about in the show. That's it. No spammy, schmarmy selling emails. It's just going to be the information or a worksheet or a checklist or something to go along with what we talk about today. And all of the other future shows as well. Alrighty, so on to those 5 steps. Step number 1. You need to pick a habit that you'd like to change. Identify something that's challenging for you that you maybe tried to change in the past, but it's not really working. And so figure out what your trigger is, what's cueing you to respond with this habit, and then what your response is, and then how you're feeling afterwards. So you're going to work through those 3 parts of the habit cycle and just lay them out in the worksheet. Step number 2 is to brainstorm a bunch of different ideas for what you could do instead. So instead of maybe, like Rashmi, instead of responding to a challenging day at work by ordering pizza, she's going to now come up with a bunch of different ideas of what she could do instead that would still give her the same reward. Remember, we don't want to change too many things. We don't want to try and overhaul our lifestyle and change the cue and the response or the cue and the reward. You want to try and change just one thing. So that's why I want to challenge you to just change your response to some situation. And then, once you've sort of brainstormed an idea list of things that you want to try, you can make a list and put it on your fridge or on a bulletin board or leave it on your phone, and then pick a couple to try. Some people find that it works best for them if they choose 1 or 2 ideas and try to change the habit on a more strict basis like that. So again, with Rashmi's case, it could have been after a really challenging day at work, she would call her parents and talk to her parents. And she would do that every time. Another option is just to have that list, that open list available to you. And then after you are experiencing that trigger, when that cue is coming on, you can just go to your list and be like, I feel like that one today. And then give it a try. And it'll still hopefully lead to that same reward. And once you start to train yourself, it'll be easier. So that's step number 3. Step number 4 is to take a step back after you've given this a try for a week or 2 and see how it goes. And when it doesn't go well, be curious. Don't blame yourself. Ask yourself, what was it about my chosen idea that didn't work for me? What was it about the time of day that I tried my response that didn't work for me? What could I do that might work better? What could I change about my environment to make it easier for me to follow one of my other chosen responses rather than stick to just my plain habit, my old habit? What could I do differently? Stop blaming yourself. That's not going to get you anywhere. You got to look at things more objectively. Step number 5 is to surround yourself with a community of like-minded people looking to achieve the same goals that you are. There is a ton of research to show that the best way to keep up with changing a habit from an unhealthy one to a healthy one is to surround yourself with like-minded people looking to make the same changes. And if you think about it, that's why those 12-step programs, Weight Watchers, all those kinds of things are so successful, because everybody is following the same steps, following the same system, and they're working together. And maybe they're at different parts of those systems, they're on different steps, but that's okay, because somebody on step 3 can help the person on step 1 figure things out. And so they kind of coach each other from a place of understanding. So if you would like to work through this challenge of changing your unhealthy habits to a healthy one and want to surround yourself with a community of like-minded people, please feel free to join our Facebook group. It's a very supportive community, and we're going to work through this challenge, this weekly challenge together. So if you want to fill out the worksheet and upload your habit cycle to the group, I provide group coaching once a week in the group. So you're welcome to join us You're welcome to join us there, and we'd be more than happy to have you. And as the research shows, you'd be more successful. Win-win-win. Alrighty, that's it for this week. I really appreciate you taking the time and the effort in connecting with me today. If you like this, please put a little heart down below or like it. I'd really appreciate hearing from you also, so put some comments in there, ask some questions. I'm here for you. And thank you so much for joining. Like I said, this week is going to be live. This show is going to be live every week. So on Monday at noon Pacific, You can join us and we'll talk about different mindset shifts or nutrition or any of your questions. Send them my way. I'm happy to make these topics anything that you want to hear about. So please feel free to let me know. Put it in your calendar for next week, Monday at noon Pacific, and join us. Next week, we're going to be looking at the single most important thing that you can do to help you lose weight, sleep better, and have more energy and get more active, and then honor your body with movement. So see you next time, lifers.